Welcome to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for high-performing women leaders who want to unlearn conventional rules, leave prestigious careers, and launch businesses of significance. Each week, She Rebel Radio brings you insights and advice from women entrepreneurs who transformed their prestige prisons into daring entrepreneurial success stories. Now, here is your host, Lulu Minns.
Hope you are all well. Can I ask you all to just press your mute buttons? We are going to have, as always, for those of you that have been on my webinars before, but also if you haven't, always have time for Q&A and unmuting at the end. So my plan is, good to see you all. It's really good to see who is jumping online. Hold on, I'm just going to put myself on that view and hit record. Do use the chat box as Mo, it looks like me and you are having a private chat. Do use the chat box as we move through the training. And welcome. We are just, a few more people might be jumping online. So I've got some slides to share with you today as well. I hope you've all got a pen and paper there, because I'm going to ask you some quite powerful questions. So do some journaling and some notes. And my first question to you, and you don't have to share this with anybody else, it's just for you. My first question is, what are you worth? What are you worth? And I want you to write down a number, and that can be whatever resonates with you the most, a monthly amount or a yearly amount. If you do a yearly amount, if you can break that down, divided by 12 for a monthly amount, because we're going to come back to that at the end. So I just want you to have that conversation with yourself. What am I worth per month, per year? And then we will start properly. Hi ladies, thank you for joining. We've just got a few more people being admitted in. I am just asking you, what are you worth? Write that answer down to that question. And I feel like I haven't shared slides for ages. I'm going to do that in a minute. Okay. And thank you so much for being with me today. I know we are in a heat wave, certainly in the UK, and those of you that have got children, it's also half term as well. So my apologies for that, although it probably doesn't make much difference at the moment because they're all at home anyway, right? So my apologies, but I know that's affected a few people. You've probably got some more fun things planned than homeschool education. Amazing. So write down what you're worth. It's just for you. You don't need to share it with anybody else at all. And one of the reasons I wanted to share with you why I put this training together today is it's a question I'm asked a lot. How do I price my services? How do I package and value my offerings? And, how do I even begin to start with finding my worth in either a new business or as you're moving along that journey? And I would love to know in the chat box as well, whether you're in a service-based business, if you can just put in the chat box service, or whether you have a product, or whether you might not be in business at all, but it is something that you're thinking about, because it just gives me a real good feeling for where everyone is at. The vast majority of people that I serve are in a service-based business. Those of you that know me know that I was a lawyer in a previous life, so have always been in service. Yeah, we've got service. Not in business yet, but will be service. Okay. Artists and facilitators, so service and product. Okay, so we're mostly service. Because I just want to, if I need to come into product, but yeah, we're all looking service-based. So it's a massive question, and within that, one of my biggest values is in integrity. It is to those clients that work with me. It must be to all of you, because you've identified with that word. So I really want to look at that as how we do that with integrity. And I've drawn a picture for you today. I promise you it's the only picture, the rest are slides, but I couldn't put it together in a slide, of what happens when we price outside of integrity. And any words that come to mind or anything that comes to mind for you, do put it in the chat box of what happens when we price out of integrity. And that can be that we're pricing too low or pricing too high. too low or too high. So it's a real delicate balance to actually get it right. And a lot of the content I'm going to share with you today comes from a really popular episode of She Rebel Radio, which we're going to build on that and show learning tools cheaper. Frederique, thank you. What do you mean in terms of cheaper? What happens when we price out of integrity? Anyone want to share? If the price is too high or the price is too low? You can unmute yourself if you want to share.
Hi, it's Frederique.
Oh, hey Frederique, how you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
I think I offer services because right now I'm just in the process of building. So because I need more experience, I feel like I give away my services for free, or I am unable to say, okay, this is the amount for such and such time. Worked on this service.
How do you feel when you give away your services for free?
The first few are fine because I think he helps me to gain more skills. But then now I feel like I should be paid.
Okay, perfect. Can we come back to that at the end? Yeah, because I can answer some questions about that at the end. That'd be great. So I just want to, thanks Frederique for asking. If it's, I feel a block, I know exactly what you mean. If it's too high, unlikely to be a long-term business relationship, absolutely. If it's too low, it's not sustainable for you. Yes, thank you, Mo. So my very dodgy picture here, okay? If it's too high, you get a resentful client, okay, that are not having their expectations and needs met. If it's too low, you get a resentful you. So either way, there is a guilt resentment cycle which is happening. So either way, one's got pink hair and one's got kind of like turquoise hair, which was very much my original branding colours actually. So, and in between that, what can happen if you're priced too high or too low is you cannot sell because you're not in integrity. Either you're making an offer and you're like, I don't really want to sell it for that because it's worth so much more, or it's being pitched too high and you're like, I don't really know if I can deliver on that. So, either way, you're either not selling and there's a guilt and resentment cycle if you are. And there's a very delicate balance of expectations which happens here, of setting your expectations between you and the client, but there's a tipping point of actually over-delivering on that, of what those expectations are, but not underselling and massively over-delivering, which is what the vast majority of women do, but not all. But the bigger problem is the underselling or the not selling at all. If I can just ask you to mute, sorry, 1 second. So I just wanted to share that with you, but that's my last dodgy picture for sure. So what I'm going to just share the slides here. And let me know in the chat box if you can see. Okay, can you see that there? Yeah, perfect. Thanks very much. So what we're going to be diving into and learning today is why self-worth reflects in your pricing, what specifically you need to ask yourself before pricing your services, because I think we've established you're all in service-based businesses, but there may be a little bit of product stuff there as well, and then how to identify where you're out of integrity with your pricing. As I said, we're going to have a little bit of Q&A, about 20 minutes at the end, so if you can save your questions for then, that would be amazing. Those of you that don't know me, I think many of you do, but not everybody. My name is Lulu Minns. I'm the founder of She Rebel Radio. I am a personal development and business coach for women, helping you find freedom from prestige and more meaning and significance in the work that you do. I work with women who are creating change and wanting to create change in the world. I'm massive on us leading from feminine-based principles. But in order to do that, we need to be charging for our services correctly. And as I said, there's a massive question around how that you do that, or even avoiding having the conversations full stop. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about how I work with clients today and how you can continue to do this work that we're even starting on the webinar today. As we've already talked about, there is a statistic there of 75%. I only came across this statistic this week in the book Invisible Women. If you've not read that, I would highly recommend it. And you might need to read a chapter and then let it absorb it as to how invisible that we can be and how the default button is male. That 75% of the world's unpaid work is completed by women, which is an incredible amount, which means that at least 75%, if not all of us, have experienced that personally on this call, or we've certainly experienced it collectively as a group of women, which we're all connected, and we all have a level of each other's experiences. And also ancestrally, if you think of the women in your family that became before you, your mothers, your grandmothers, did they earn their own money, or were they working for free within the home with children, etc.? Because we carry the weight of that as women. I'm just admitting someone else, hold on. We carry the weight of that. And what I found really interesting, those of you that don't know me in terms of my background, I was a criminal defence lawyer for 11 years, and unpaid work is handed out as a punishment to criminal activity, particularly for men, which, funnily enough, the criminal justice system is, a world that's created for men by men, and for men it's a punishment. For women, it is something that we accept. And it's something that we need to stop accepting. And that starts within your own businesses. So I really want to give you a sense of responsibility for that today. The last She Rebel Radio episode was the responsibility trigger. It can be a trigger for women, but us really taking responsibility in being paid properly for the work that you do, but also recognizing where these fears might be coming from for you if you're undercharging and over-delivering. So let's look at, and I can't see the chat box at the moment, but I'll come back to it, multitasking. One thing we are good at, very good at. So integrity in your pricing. I wanted to look at the meaning of integrity because it's important, and we will come back to this. And as I said, it's a massive value of mine. And you can see I've got women in capital letters. That's what I'm all about, because it said gentleman, but I changed it. The dictionary meaning of integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, a woman of complete integrity. So being honest and having strong moral principles, which I know all of you will have being here on this call. And the second part, which is really interesting, is the state of being whole and undivided. Whole and undivided. So when you are being whole and undivided, a lot of the work that I do with women is that journey to being whole and undivided is we are in integrity. So when we're not in integrity, we're splintered and we're not leading from a place of being whole, which is why it can feel super uncomfortable when we're not in integrity to ourselves, to our businesses, to our clients, which is what I'm going to be talking about. I also wanted to put Brené Brown's quote in, which, can I move this across here? Yeah. I think is really important, is integrity is choosing courage over comfort. Because how often are you potentially choosing the comfort over courage of actually stepping up and asking for what you're worth? And choosing what is right over what is fun, fast or easy. So again, if there's undercharging or overcharging, it might be fun, fast and easy. It could be easy if you're undercharging. It could be fast if you're overcharging because you've got to ask less people. But either way, it's out of that integrity piece. And really importantly, there is choosing to practice our values rather than simply professing them. Because one thing I really want to share with you today is that whatever service that you are selling, there will be someone that's selling it cheaper than you, and there'll be someone that's selling it for a more expensive amount than you. And I did a video a couple of years ago on this in terms of a bottle of tonic water, which is a product, right? But a bottle of tonic water that you can buy in the supermarket for 35p, if it's like, the economy version, cheap version, or you can buy the expensive Fever Tree for £1.85. Same product, totally same product. One is 35p and one is £1.85, 5 times the price. And put your hands up if you buy Fever Tree. Yeah. Absolutely. Sometimes I have a couple of the cheap ones, thrown in the house as a, needs be, but it's the same product. It does the same thing. You mix your gin with it, okay? So really bear that in the mind. And it's the same with cars. You can buy a Rolls Royce or a Skoda. It's the same with coaching or service-based. You can have a coaching session with someone for £20, £200, £2,000. Tony Robbins charges £1 million, right? So there's a scale of abundance there, and you have to choose where you sit with that and how that's in accordance with your values, which is what we're going to be going through today. That makes sense to you. I hope it all does. Right, so this is my integrity triangle that I like to call. I'm massive on yoga, so I call it my Yama triangle as well. There are 8 limbs of yoga. I know we've got Joe here who's got a yoga studio, so you can correct me on any of this stuff. But this is a really important image here of integrity. These are the 3 pieces. Integrity to, I'm just moving your pictures around. Integrity to my business is the first part of having integrity in your pricing. So integrity to my business. And it's not mutually exclusive here, or what are the monthly financial needs and costs to run my business? What does it cost me to market? What are the overheads? What does it cost for me to deliver the service? What does it cost me to acquire a client? So I'm going to ask you to take a minute to write down whatever comes up with you. And you can just pick one of those questions. If you don't know the monthly financial needs of your business, that is homework for you to go and find out what that number is. You should know immediately what that number is. What does it cost me? And yes, it changes and it's variable, but what's the baseline of your monthly, basic needs for it to function? So write that down. Then you have integrity to yourself, which is in the bottom left, which again includes but is not exclusive of what are my personal needs, personal financial needs. And it may be that you're fully in your business, so your business needs to meet those full financial needs. If you're still in your day job, position of prestige, etc., that may be, or you may be consulting. A lot of clients come to me and they're consulting. That is quite often a middle ground between being fully into your business and out of your position of prestige, and some money. That was the same for me as well, coming in from consulting before moving into what you really want to be doing. So again, it's a different amount, but you should know what your personal needs are. If that's being met elsewhere, that may be something you don't need to worry about right now. But if you're moving into it, you being fully served by your business, again, you need to know the specific amount. Being integrity to yourself as well. What knowledge, wisdom, expertise, and investments have you made in yourself that needs to carry forthwith within your business? So take a minute to write that down. I'm then going to share with you a bit about mine. So it could be your personal needs. If you don't know that, you need to go and find out if your business is there to meet that. What about knowledge, wisdom, expertise, investments that you have made? And that is, particularly how it may relate to your business. For me, I've spent over 20 years studying human behaviour. That is wrapped up into how I price my services. I have an annual investment in my own coaching and personal development, year in and year out, which far exceeds what I charge my clients personally, individually. And it's really about, sorry, I just think someone's coming in. Really having, again, when we talk about this, the undivided, the whole piece, and I'm separating it out for you here, but it's about looking at the whole piece of the whole of you in all that experience and wisdom and expertise that you bring in to what it is that you are delivering and serving. Does that make sense? I'm always, okay, thanks, I can see some of you. I'm always thrown off when I share slides. I can't see the chat box, because I like a chat box and the conversation. So write down whatever comes up for you there. The third piece is then being in integrity to your clients, to the people that you are serving with the service that you are delivering. So again, the questions are not mutually exclusive. There are several. How can I serve them most powerfully? How can I serve them most powerfully? Again, if undercharging is coming in, then you may not be serving your clients most powerfully and being in integrity to them. As I know many of you said that you've got coaching businesses or similar service-based businesses, is it that you're, allowing, for example, a client to say, I just want a session whenever. I just want a session whenever I want one, which coaching is not, it's not a crisis situation. It's about moving people through a process and them getting where they need to go. Okay. And you may have different views on that, but that's certainly how I coach. But just checking within that, am I, and it's where that is in integrity. If you're doing it because of the finances of it, instead of you actually serving your client with what they need, that then it becomes unbalanced. And this is about balancing this. There's the pandemic requirement that we have at the moment, what we've been facing in the world over the last few months. So it may be that people have not been able to, take on a, more lengthy contract of service with you, because I know I was saying myself, suspend the bigger decisions right now, because we are leading with a period of uncertainty. Being integrity to your clients would be, within the pandemic, coming up with a shorter term offer that feels good to deliver them, as to considering how their needs have changed. So that's being in integrity to your clients. So what do they need, and what previous results have I had with similar type of work? So that's being in integrity to your clients. So write down whatever comes up for you there. Let's see. Just looking at your comments there. Just seeing the questions there. Thanks, Natalie, for asking. How do you put pounds amount to your wisdom? Nima said, I think it's subjective. What has it cost you to acquire that wisdom? Yeah. It really is subjective. It's not, and it's about balancing all of these things. And I'm going to show you in a minute what happens when you don't balance all of these things. Sorry, I thought there was another comment. What happens when you don't balance these things? But it's then when you consider all these things as a whole piece, which is a very feminine principle, by the way. Separating it all out is very masculine in principle. It's about bringing it all together and being whole and undivided and feeling really good. You know when you feel good, right? You know when it feels good and it feels exciting. But going back to Brené Brown's quote here, where you're choosing courage over comfort. Because if you're choosing comfort for yourself, then it could be that you're out of integrity because you're not actually making them an offer of what they actually need. Does that make sense? Because you're not comfortable in having the conversation as to what it really costs for you to deliver the service that they need. But we'll dive in more to questions and answers with that as we move on. Any more questions? Natalie, I've gained a lot of wisdom relevant to my clients through personal experience rather than courses and training. So how do you put a financial cost to that? Yeah, totally, Natalie. And that's why I've got here your personal financial needs, your knowledge, your wisdom. Wisdom as well. And so many women have so much wisdom. It's definitely my power in terms of coaching. It's remembered. It's intuitive. You haven't learned it on a course. How do you value that? It's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. I know when I'm coaching, clients always want my insights and my feedback because that's the wisdom. I haven't learned anything like that on a course, but it's balancing that wisdom. And then I've made massive investments in my personal growth, looking at my personal needs, business needs. And I would literally encourage you to draw a triangle and draw all of that out. And then it's that's why it's a triangle. What kind of sits in the middle? There are no easy answers, but it's about really tuning in with that wisdom, Natalie. If that's a real gift for you, of really tuning in with that wisdom and finding that sweet spot along with all of those other things. It is a balancing act. I hope that helps, but let's dive into that a bit more with the questions if it doesn't. So here's what happens, ladies, when we act out of integrity. So discord, this is outside of the resentment and the guilt triangle, okay? And I've called this the discord triangle. But actually, when I looked up, a lot of the opposite of integrity was dishonesty. We talked about distrust, all of that kind of stuff. And I don't think, particularly with the undercharging and not talking about money and not knowing how to value our wisdom. And Natalie, I would also say to you, within that, women have been devalued for their wisdom for centuries. We have been told it's not worth anything. No one's interested in your intuition, love. All of that kind of stuff. And I was massively intuitive as a lawyer, but I couldn't share that I just had this, this is what needs to happen, So really check in with that. And this is where there's quite a lot of wounding for women in terms of we have been devalued on so many levels that there is, and this is what I talk about, a personal experience, collective experience, ancestral experience for women to be worth less than men, okay? And that is deep work, bringing that out, okay? So, I hope that resonates. But this discord with business, so it's not dishonesty, it's discord. It's that being out of alignment, not being whole, being splintered off. The discord with business is when we compare with others and not considering your business needs, growth requirements, or personal values. I.e., that tonic that I talked about, the personal values of Fever Tree is to be, the real deal in terms of, where they sit on the marketplace, is that, I'm trying to think of the word, that premium product, okay? That's within its values, a premium product. It's not to be chucked in the back of, the larder with everything else of just when you need something. So it's about considering all of that stuff. So if you can write down, or maybe grab a separate sheet of paper, discord with my business, comparing with others, not considering my business needs, growth, or values, and write down what resonates with you, because there's a lot here. I appreciate I'm sharing a lot. So just pick one of where have you been in discord with your business. Mo looks like she's drinking tonic. Same. Same. Yeah, water too. I'm thinking about gin and tonic. Yeah, sunny day. So that's where you discord with your business. Where you can be in discord with yourself is lowering your self-worth, devaluing that wisdom, Natalie, that we talked about, because it's maybe not valued so much in society in position of prestige, etc. Not feeling good enough, not owning your uniqueness, expertise, or experience. Okay, so not owning any of that stuff, lowering your self-worth, not feeling good enough, and I would add, not taking into account your personal needs, which has a knock-on effect in being discord with your clients, because if you're not taking care of your personal needs, you can't take care of anybody else, because that's really where it starts, is being in integrity to yourself and your business. So write down whatever comes up for you there. Being in discord to yourself. And then being in discord to your clients looks like, and we've already touched upon this, I felt it would come up, avoiding talking about money and projecting what you think they can afford and your money beliefs upon them. So avoiding conversation, projecting on your clients your money beliefs and where you're at with money and projecting it upon them. And that creates massive discord, and it's massively, when you think about it, particularly if you're working with women, many of my clients work with women, not all, how disempowering for women for you to project what you think someone else can afford and what they're willing to pay and what they're willing to invest in themselves for your service or for your growth. So that is why it's massively out of integrity to clients as well. And that projection. So you can see all of those pieces, and you really might recognise yourself in one area more than another. And then it's very much the way I work, is highlighting the gaps for you of a particular area that you need to focus on. Is there any questions on that? As I said, we're going to have questions in about 5-6 minutes. Everyone's thinking about gin and tonic. Is that what we've driven you to? Talking about personal worth and owning your worth. And then I'm going to share with you more before we dive into questions. Okay. So this is my mastermind triangle and how I work with clients. And I was going to tell you actually at the beginning, and I totally forgot, I dived into the content, about a client of mine, Steph, who came to work with me before the pandemic, invested in working with me for 4 months, has worked with me previously, but was feeling super, super frustrated with feeling like she was chasing clients not potentially seeing her worth, and kind of like getting into this persuading conversation of them doing the work that that they wanted to do in inverted commas. And we have spent, and it was a very quick turnaround in terms of amplifying her self-worth, owning the work that she does, and really nailing that down, and also unlearning and reframing her money beliefs. And she said to me recently, actually, she said she didn't mind me sharing this with her, it's none of my goddamn business what other people can afford. It's none of my goddamn business what they can afford. And really stepping into the work she does in terms of timeline work, working on that with clients, and really finding her power in that, you know, she's someone that's been signing clients all the way through the pandemic, okay, by amplifying her self-worth, feeling good in talking about money, and raising her prices, having integrity in raising her prices, and owning the work and her zone of genius that she does. So the way that I work, as I said, there are no easy answers to this, and it's a very individual journey that you have with yourself. And within this is being in integrity to your business, which is actually the last piece, is owning your territory. There is no longer a hierarchy, which we are very much taught in positions of prestige, and when you come out of corporate, of where you fit within that hierarchy. There's too many people in the world for a hierarchy, and women are blowing that out the water anyway. We've had enough of it. But it's about owning your territory and knowing where you fit within that. As I said, Fever Tree fits in the prestigious brand, okay, and not the economy brand. And there's nothing wrong with being the economy brand. And if that fits in with your personal needs and your business needs, but it's about owning the fact that you would need to sell more, okay, to meet those needs, or you're a premium brand, etc. It's about owning your territory and aligning your business needs, goals and values, and discovering where you fit and where you sit. But that is kind of the final piece of the triangle. It's when it's the thing that pulls everything together. And the first bit, as I said, is that integrity with yourself, as I've said, is amplifying your self-worth, your expectations expectations and finding the uniqueness in the work that you do and how to package your services. So that expectations piece is key. It's so key, particularly for women. As I keep saying, I remember myself when I first started my coaching business, of realising I was doing all of this work and not expecting to be paid. And had I done all of that work for an employer, and that can be a massive shift within a business, and they said, do you know what, I'm not going to pay you at the end of the month. I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like you're worth it. That would not have been acceptable to me. So you really have to amplify your self-worth and your expectations. And I know from my history, in my position of prestige as a lawyer, even when I asked for a pay rise, I asked for it with, the guy we were managers of the department. I asked for him and me rather than just, asking for me. I was like, I'll include other people and, do all of that stuff. So, and we've already touched upon this self-worth piece and why it's so important for women. Then integrity to your clients is unlearning and reframing your money beliefs and projecting positively and being able to talk about money. If you're not even able to talk about money, that there is a massive block there. And again, I know, some of that can come from the business world. I certainly know, as lawyers, I did a lot of legal aid work as well. So I had to work on my beliefs around that. But, we would send a client care letter out with, your case will not exceed this amount of money. But again, there was a lot of avoiding of having conversations about what it was actually going to cost our clients to fight their cases. And again, there's no space for that anymore. People really want transparency. And to be transparent, you need to have conversations about money and project positively and unlearn and reframe your money beliefs. Okay, is there any questions on that? So they're the three pieces. As I've said, that integrity to yourself, which I've noticed a typo there, is the real first piece, the amplifying self-worth, finding uniqueness, your zone of genius in the work that you're doing, how to package your services, then how to have conversations with people about it, to unlearn and reframe your money beliefs, project positively, and then that goes up into owning your territory and meeting your business needs. Once you meet your business needs and your personal needs with your business, you can then add on the desires and all the gin and tonics and all the stuff that you need for that as well.
Thank you so much for listening to She Rebel Radio. And before you go, don't forget to ask the question, what am I worth now? And I have no doubt that this training has amplified those feelings of self-worth and how you can find integrity in your pricing. If you want full access to the live webinar recording, the video that came with it, and also the Q&A session that we had for around 20 minutes, then you can find that at luluminns.com/pricing. That's luluminns.com/pricing. And if you would like my help as to how we can go far deeper on this, in how you can find integrity in your pricing and the work that you are doing in the world, then please reach out to me at lulu@luluminns.com. We can have an informal connection call for 30 minutes, and I will also put a link to my calendar below where you can book that call. Tell me what came up for you when listening to this episode, and we can talk about how I can help you move forward. Big love, have an amazing day, and I will speak to you on She Rebel Radio or elsewhere very soon.
Thanks for listening to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for high-performing women leaders who want to unlearn conventional rules, leave prestigious careers, and launch businesses of significance. She Rebel Radio is executive produced and hosted by women's advocate and coach Lulu Minns. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. You can find Lulu Minns on Facebook and LinkedIn at Lulu Minns and on Instagram at LuluMinns_biz. Until next week, keep rebelling against the rules and designing success your way.